Woman damages my mom's car and blames my mom. Her corrupt cop boyfriend covers it up and ruins both of their reputations. I don't know if this counts as pro-revenge or not, but I thought it was pretty funny and they got what they deserved. This post is super long, so I have a TLDR at the end. For some background, I live in a predominantly white suburban town in New Jersey, and my family is Asian. Although the town is all right for the most part, it is not really a secret that some of the townspeople are pretty racist. One of our neighbors, let's call him Anthony, is a retired police captain from another town, but he is friends with my town's police chief. My mother is a first-generation immigrant, and although she's fluent in English, she still has a pretty thick Asian accent. A couple of years ago, my mom went to visit one of her friends on the other side of town. My mom had parallel parked directly in front of her friend's house, which is at the bottom of a small hill. As she was leaving, a woman driving a Jeep Wrangler with her children was driving down the small hill, but she was still a decent distance back, so my mom pulled out of her spot. The road they were on was really wide, with enough space to fit 5 cars next to one another, and about 40 feet ahead was a stop sign. My mom, at this point, was already in the middle of the road, fully out of the parking spot, and had gotten about 10 feet when the woman driving the Jeep suddenly came up from behind my mom's car and cut directly in front of her, crossing a double yellow line to do so. Because of the angle she cut off my mom at, the Jeep's rear wheel ended up ripping off my mom's front bumper. My mom naturally immediately stopped, and the woman got out of her car after straightening it out on the road. As soon as she stepped out of her car, this woman, let's call her Karen, immediately started cursing my mom out at the top of her lungs. Karen told my mom to call the police, but my mom told her that her phone had died. My mom's friend and her son, as well as the neighbor, came out of the house after hearing the commotion to see what had happened. The neighbor, an elderly man, asked what happened, and Karen yelled, "Are you blind? An accident happened? Go call the police. I need to call my boyfriend." The son had taken a law class in college, so he offered to take a bunch of pictures of the scene of the accident and send them to my mom later. This becomes super important later. The neighbor called the police, but Karen's boyfriend arrived at the scene first. When the cop, let's call him Kenny, finally arrived, he asked my mom what happened. Just as my mom had started saying her side of the story, the cop said, "Wait just a minute," and walked over to the boyfriend. As it turns out, the boyfriend, let's call him Sam, was a cop in the town who was pretty popular with the kids in the middle schools, since he would occasionally visit to talk about things like DARE and other topics in assemblies. Sam was off duty at the time, so he was able to come over when Karen called him. As soon as Kenny saw his buddy Sam, he immediately went to talk with him rather than with my mom or Karen. They discussed for a little while and afterwards sent everyone on their way. My mom tried to talk to Kenny before he left, but Kenny just brushed it off and said he got the details he needed, and that my mom would be able to get the police report in about a week or 2. When my mom received the police report, she saw that it said she pulled out without using her blinkers suddenly and hit Karen's car. On top of that, Karen was expecting my mom's insurance to pay for the damage done to her rear wheel. My mom went to our neighbor Anthony to ask what she should do about the report since it was clearly wrong. Anthony was furious and told her she should go to the police station and ask to see the chief. If they asked why she needed to see him, she should tell them it was because she wanted to file an internal complaint. That day, my mom took the photograph sent to her by the son and went to the police station. She asked the person working the front desk to see the chief. The cop said she could not just walk in and ask for the chief, so my mom responded, "Okay, so where should I go to file an internal complaint?" The cop immediately straightened up and said, "Right here. Come with me." He led her into the back. The deputy chief stepped into the room and started recording the conversation. Since the chief was out, my mom presented all of the evidence to him instead. After showing the evidence proving it was Karen who hit her, not the other way around, my mom said she wanted to file a corruption complaint against both Kenny and Sam. Kenny clearly did not do his job properly since he did not properly ask the actual people involved in the accident, and did not note the fact that there were 2 passengers in Karen's car in the report. Even Karen later admitted to an investigator that Kenny never once spoke to her. My mom even suggested that maybe Kenny wouldn't listen to her and brushed her off because of her thick Asian accent. Sam, meanwhile, had interfered with the investigation despite not being at the scene of the crime during the time of the accident. The deputy chief said he would start an internal investigation and see if anything needed to be done. Meanwhile, my mom also filed a claim with her insurance and presented the evidence to them. Her insurance decided that since the accident was clearly not her fault, they weren't going to pay Karen a penny. They would contact Karen's insurance to pay my mom instead. A lot of internal bureaucratic investigational stuff happened, including interviews with Karen, my mom's friend, and the friend's neighbor. About a month passed, and an officer came to our house to tell my mom that Kenny had been punished. But there was not enough evidence to punish Sam. The officer just wanted to know if she had any other concerns. Since Karen had not done anything further to warrant action, and the damage to the car was paid for, my mom said there was nothing else. Now here's the fun part. 3 days after the officer came to our door, a letter arrived in the mail for a court hearing. Turns out, Karen decided to file 3 tickets against my mom just 1 day before the statute of limitations. Apparently, in New Jersey, citizens are allowed to file complaints about other citizens breaking the law, a thing our family had never heard of before. Because of how late she filed these complaints, by the time we received them in the mail, we could not even counter-complain. The only options were to pay the fine or go to court. We assumed Karen learned about being able to file a complaint from Sam, and that the only reason she was willing to go this far was because she heard my mom had a super thick Asian accent. She assumed my mom wouldn't know what to do about the tickets and would just pay up. What she didn't count on was that my mom is actually really aggressive with an absolutely massive network of people she knows. Within a day, my mom hired a lawyer to fight the case. They immediately asked to change the court from the small court in our town to one of the large courts a couple of towns away. The logic was that if she fought the case in our town, my mom would be at a disadvantage since her case was essentially going against our town's beloved police force. By putting it in a different town, the playing field would be even. Also, while my mom worked from home in her own business, Karen had a full-time job in town. Going to court in a different town would be a huge pain for her. The lawyer prepared a huge amount of evidence against Karen. There was no way she was going to win the case, no matter what. Come the court date, Karen never showed up. So the case was thrown out. That was a pretty nice win, but what came after was even better. Since my mother and sister have a lot of friends in town, the story of Karen and Sam doing this shady stuff got out really fast. Soon, half the town had heard about it. Suddenly, Karen and Sam went from two favorites in the town because of Sam's reputation to two of the most underhanded and nasty people. Sam stopped getting invited to school assemblies, and Karen was ostracized in her kids' school's PTA. Anthony also ended up talking to the police chief in private. We found out that although Sam was not officially punished, he was severely reprimanded by the chief. TLDR. A woman cut off my mom, damaged her car, and had her cop boyfriend try to cover it up. My mom fought back, got one of the cops punished, and the woman didn't get anything out of it. The woman filed a complaint just before the statute of limitations, so my mom couldn't counter it. My mom decided to take it to court, had the case thrown out because the woman never showed up, and then told a bunch of people in the town what happened. Soon, half the town found out, and now both the woman and her boyfriend are no longer welcomed nearly as warmly in town.